and I'm the manager for international enrollment and recruitment at North Island College. And today's session is a little bit different from usual, where I have the opportunity to give you a little bit more information about business programs in general and how that could potentially benefit you over the long period of time in the future. So I'm just going to share the slides here. So just bear with me for a second. So the topic today to start off with is why a business program is the best path for you. And so I'm assuming that most of you are thinking about business programs or otherwise something similar to business programs. Now, when you ask your friends or when you read up about business programs, there are some common comments about business programs. Of course, there are pros of it being versatile. It provides you with skills and perspectives. It gives you that project management or strategic management skills. Some of the things are both good and bad. Some people will say income is great. Some people say income's not great. Some people say it's more out of necessity rather than anything else. And of course, I would assume that some of you are being told by your parents or your friends that it's a good idea, but you might be feeling that it's a little bit too generic. Maybe everybody's got one, so why would I even go and get business program, undergraduate or postgraduate programs now? Well, I don't want to delve too much into the negative side of things. And so I want to really focus on the reason why business program will be good for you and how they can be used. So in particular, I would like to focus on the versatility, the ability for you to specialize, and the knowledge, skills, and perspectives that you gain. And then, of course, how the project management piece kind of comes into the play. So when you think about the programs in business, there are a fair number of different specializations, and you probably see it written as minor, maybe major. So there are so many different ones. I can't cover every single one of them, and some of them definitely have very similar names. But I've listed some of the common ones here, starting with, of course, administration, finance, accounting. There's, of course, human resources. Supply chain and logistics is something that's really popular right now amongst students. And then there's, of course, international business, sustainable business, sales and advertising. Some people are more interested in a holistic view of the organization and the organizational behavior. Some people are more interested in business analysis, risk management. And then, of course, the last one is real estate. That tends to sort of get tucked onto the last bit of the business list in some institutions in Canada. So there are so many different fields, and you can go into any one of them, both in undergraduate level and postgraduate level in Canada. And if you're thinking about undergraduate programs, these are examples of some courses that you are going into the business programs in the first and the second year. So in the first and second year, you would generally get at least one financial accounting course, marketing, math and statistics, and then economics. Of course, communication is a really key part of business practice. So communication, together with some very basic computer skills, like how to use Excel, how to use Word, and how to use all the really basic applications so that when you go into work, you can start with the basic knowledge already. And then finally, organizational behavior for you to learn in general what kind of things go on in companies. And then once you go into the third and fourth year in Canada, you would start to specialize a little bit more so that your timetable is filled with more of, say, marketing courses, maybe more of the business analysis courses, and so on and so forth, depending on what you're interested in and what your major is. But otherwise, you would be looking at some common courses such as entrepreneurship, business law, business ethics. There's advanced statistics in some programs, or otherwise some business analysis courses. And then that's where also the strategic management, project management, and human resource management would come in. So doing a degree program is great. And then on the other hand, if you are going into MBA or maybe even post-degree diploma programs in Canada, you will also cover some of these courses as the basic courses. We expect most of the students going into any part of business programs to have some accounting, marketing, statistics, business analysis, communications, computer, and then of course, some management or administration knowledge in their mind by the time they graduate. And all of these general courses that you do within the business program is really there to give you the functional knowledge so that once you go into workplace, you will be able to use this knowledge in many fields. And you already know probably that most of the practices are business and has some sort of a business model. And so these are the courses that can be very versatile, whichever the field that you go into. And by having this education, you will be able to start thinking a little bit more differently about business and about your work, about your department when you start working. You will be able to start building more data-driven operations with the ability to analyze data and to collect data and make decisions. You also get a very different perspective. So you get the bird's eye view of the operation. So instead of just being focused on one particular area of business, you will be able to think a little bit more broadly and think about how your area or your work would impact the rest of the department and the rest of the operations. And as you know, it's not just what we call private businesses or private sectors that are businesses. The government has its own business practice, nonprofit sector has its own business practices. They all have to embrace some type of business operations. And so the business education is really important in whichever the area you will go into. And finally, of course, money is always the question. So depending on the funding and say, for example, nonprofit sector will have to figure out how they're going to maximize their return with the limited funding that they have, or maybe how to get more funding from different places. On the other hand, if you're in business and work in a larger companies, you might be in charge of a smaller budget, but you need to figure out how you're going to drive that budget towards a great return or better return at the end of the day. And you got to be able to balance the books. You got to be able to understand the very basics of accounting. So having that understanding already before you start the job is a huge plus. And whichever the area you go into, and this, I really emphasize this because nowadays, many people that I talk to that are in, say, for example, community development, or maybe social work area, or maybe they're starting small businesses, whichever the one that they're in, these things are really important, such as targeting the audience, maximizing the return of investment, forecasting future, enhancing their production or services that they have so that they can grow, and then internally optimizing the operation that they have within their company, however small or however big. And so all of these things, you probably have seen it somewhere, or maybe some of you are already practicing in your own job. But these things will really be driven by some of the knowledge that you gain through business schools and business programs. On the other hand, specialization is an interesting thing to think about. So remember, I showed you the graph, the table of different specialization that you can have within business. Now, all of these specializations are pretty interchangeable as well. Of course, there are specific training required for each one of them. But if you do start off with business, going into different area within these different majors or different specialization is actually not that difficult. And I want to tell you some examples of people who have been around me and have been in business and also have gained the business education. So for example, I have one of the people that I worked with who is in human resources. She started off with actually international business. So she was under the understanding that she's going to really drive herself towards international marketing, international business, all of those things. But after she graduated and started working, she actually redirected herself to finance and spent a number of years in finance. And then when it came the time to actually change a little bit and then go into a different location, instead of remaining in finance, her supervisor let her know that maybe she would like to try human resources. And so within the same company, she decided to make that switch. And she went over to human resources. And now she's working in human resources, and she's very happy with the impact that she can make with her day-to-day work. And she's a lovely person to work with, and I love working with her. But it takes a little while sometimes to get to that point where you can find the fit that works for you. And sometimes that change also happens with the growth that goes on within yourself. Another person who also started with international business, this is one of our students, Vikas. I should have his photo here, but I forgot to put his photo in, my apology. So he actually started with our Global Business Management program and completed a PDD. And after completing the PDD, he sort of started to think about sales and advertising, but it didn't really take long before he shifted fully into accounting. And so that shift happened really fast, but again, he was supported by the people that he was working with, and that way he could move more smoothly into accounting. And he's one of our successful graduates at NIC, and I'm always watching how he is doing day to day. And another person that I know, she actually started off working with the nonprofit organization as a part of the work experience, and then she went into entrepreneurship. But entrepreneurship, and she's still doing very, very well in her entrepreneurship work. She has her own business. But as a side business, she was working as a project manager and managing various events and projects over a few years. And then that drove her into her being more interested in digital marketing and sales and advertising. And so again, her shift happened very quickly. And she is in digital marketing and sales and advertising, and a little bit of business analysis, but entrepreneurship part of her still remains, and she's also still interested in project management. So you can see that they're kind of connected with one another, but you can also make that shift in specialization as you go along. Another thing I want to mention, if you remember the chart that I showed you about what I wanted to mention today, is project management. And this is a point for some students that maybe already have a degree program in a different field. And now you're thinking about maybe an MBA or a business post-degree diplomas. Project management is an interesting thing to think about. And our global business management program, for example, there are many other programs across across Canada, but as an example that I can see, students coming to our post-degree diploma in global business management because it has a component of project management that they can study. And the reason why they go into those programs in global business management is because of the natural progression of work. So this is an organizational chart for, say, large construction company, for example. Each square is supposed to be a worker. Now there are a lot more supports or entry-level workers across, but this chart is a little bit simple. I just borrowed it through the Google search. And many organizations have different types of organizational charts, but there's always, finance department, there's always a marketing or sales department, there's legal, admin, IT, of course, because everybody is using technology one way or another. And then there's operations. So if, for example, you're coming from, say, engineering background, maybe you're coming from a different background, like, say, social work or human services even, and then you will be falling under the operations section. And as you move up, you will start to require some understanding of how to manage budget, how to manage people, how to manage human resources, and so on and so forth. So it might be okay if you're just coming out of, say, a 2-year diploma program in business at undergraduate level and going into the workforce for the first time. You're looking at going into the support or entry level and then slowly working your way up. But if you already have a degree and you already have some work experience, and now you're thinking about, well, what now? What kind of education do I want? Doing a business program is not a bad idea. And day-to-day tasks of managers and directors can really vary depending on how big the company is and also what kind of department do you belong to. But as an example, you need to understand how to analyze finance or how to really look at finance, how to forecast it to an extent, maybe not to the level of an analyst, but understand it. And also balance in books so that your budget is spent within the fiscal year and also the budget is balanced well. You also need to think about hiring your own staff, managing your own staff. Maybe you have a workers' union, then you need to understand the workers' union's regulations. That's where business ethics comes in as well. If you're managing the project, or maybe you need to build some strategy, then that's something that you do. And then, of course, because you always work with people, you might have to think about client relations, partner relations. And then, of course, in some cases, you might be having meetings with marketing or legal department on certain things. And then all of that requires your communication skills. And then you need to understand the organizational behavior and internal relations within the company. So if you look at those things, and remember, all of those things are the title or similar to the title of the courses that business programs will provide you. And so regardless of whether you're coming from IT, engineering, human services, and many other different fields, If you are thinking that at some point you might reach that manager level, then it is a good idea for you to study business. And studying business courses is not going to be enough for you in order for you to be fully successful in business or in employment in general. I have worked in student employment services before myself, and I've seen a number of students that go through co-op education and internship education. And what I find is that there's a huge difference between students that do really well after graduation and who do not do well after graduation. And the biggest difference really is something that we see at the time of students entering into co-op or internship programs. So it's important that when you are looking into business programs, that you can find either co-op or internship, and that you will be able to utilize that. And when you are going into co-op or internship period, don't settle that easily on any job. I know that you will be working in Canada, and it's important that you maintain your financial ability in Canada. But co-op and internship is really an opportunity for you to learn from the people in the industry and how you would learn and the fact that like your learning speed and the information collection is much faster sometimes when you are constantly working with people and questioning and having that having that attitude to learn. So don't settle right away on any job, or don't use your current work as your co-op or internship. Make sure that you're going into something that you're interested in, maybe for the future, and seek that position. And once you are in that position, have the understanding that you are the learner and they're going to teach you, and that you are open to learning. And the second thing that will get the most out of your education is who you know. Who you know is how you would get your employment. And especially in the world of business, maybe if you come from some other fields and going into MBA or post-degree diploma programs, you might find that you're not necessarily the most extroverted, most like the people person kind of type. But even then, networking is extremely important. And people in Canada especially want to know about you more than just reading your resume before trusting you for the job and working with you. So get to know people outside of school and work. There are lots of networking opportunities throughout the city, big or small. So take that opportunity and get to know other people and let other people know you, so that you can maximize your chance for successful employment after graduation. I know that it's kind of scary, right? Like as a student and as a newcomer, going into an environment where you don't know anybody and you don't even know how to talk to them. You don't know what they're interested in. You don't even know how to do a small talk. But the more you go out, the easier it gets. And the third thing, and really an important thing for anybody who's going into business, is the ability to listen to other people's stories. Your instructors, your coworkers, employers, and also your classmates all come with experience as well. And I'm pretty sure that some of them have had some windy road before they got to where they are at right now. And so learn about their challenges, maybe learn about their career changes, or what I would call career returns, where you kind of go around and then come back to where they started, because there's always something that you can learn in those stories, and how that and then you can find how that experience that somebody else had could really apply to where you're at and where you might be going next. And for some of you, maybe the first thing you need to do is to figure out what kind of person you are, and figure out what kind of things you want to focus on. This is really extremely crude, but I just thought that I would throw this out for you just so that you can start thinking about reflecting on yourself, your personality, and how you interact with people. So I categorized 5 specific groups of people: people connector, problem solver, creative storyteller, numbers people, and then of course organization expert. I have some people who are organization experts around me, and they love problem solving and organizing and then having things in an orderly manner, but they are very efficient at their work. And if you are that kind of person, you might be great at going into administration, maybe business analysis or risk management. If you're numbers, it's kind of straightforward, but going into accounting, finance, business analysis, information systems, those things that kind of takes you a little bit further away from people, because you are not awfully comfortable with working with people all the time, might be option for you. If you love the diversity in your work and you are creative, being your storyteller, maybe going into marketing, sales and advertising, or even client management or recruitment, real estate, those things might fit you perfectly, because it allows you to continue talking and continue learning about other people and continue telling stories. If you're a pure problem solver, then sustainability, administration, supply chain, and logistics might work well for you. And then one last category of people, I respect these people just as much as some other categories, but people connectors. People connectors are really good listeners. They might not necessarily say a whole lot, but when they do say things, then they have impact. And so and also they're very comfortable with connecting people together, and also them getting connected with people they don't know. So if you're like that, then maybe marketing, organizational behavior or organizational management, even HR might be a great fit for you. So if you haven't done that yet, then I would strongly recommend that you start reflecting a little bit on what kind of person you are, what kind of things will work for you, what kind of work environment will work for you, so that you can start honing in on a type of business programs that you're interested in. And this is also a great practice for you to do when you're trying to choose a school. Which school fits you the best? Which kind of location fits you the best? All of those things can really work for you or against you when you're doing your school choice, program choice, and so on and so forth. So have time to reflect for yourself. All right. So those are things that I wanted to kind of deliver to you in regards to business programs. And at North Island College, of course, as international enrollment and recruitment manager, I do have some programs that I can definitely offer to you that might work well for you. So at North Island College, we do have School of Business Management, and our business management programs are diverse, starting from certificate, undergraduate certificate, undergraduate diploma, BBA, the bachelor's program, and also post-degree diplomas. And those are 1-year or 2-year programs. If you are thinking about undergraduate programs, I would strongly recommend that you start with a 2-year diploma program that includes co-op. And that way you will do 4 months of full-time work between the first year and the second year. So by the time you finish your diploma, you will have some references and also work experience so that you can go comfortably into entry-level positions. In our city, people tend to employ students for co-op or internship positions. And if they do like you, then they tend to try and welcome you back for a full-time position after graduation. So that's a great opportunity in co-op and internship. The third year and the fourth year of the bachelor's degree program does not necessarily have to happen right away, right after the diploma program is complete. If you want to, you can continue to work and at some point maybe gain Canadian residency. And after you can gain Canadian residency and you can work and study however you want, then you can go back for the third year and the fourth year of the bachelor's degree program to complete an actual bachelor's program. We have general management, marketing, and accounting as the 3 main areas that you can pursue. And if you want to, you can also transfer to other universities after the first year or after the first 2 years of the business administration program. On the other hand, if you are interested in post-degree diplomas, we have 2 main streams. One is global business management, and the other one is pre-professional accounting. As I said, for global business management, there are so many different options and broader applications when it comes to employment. So I have students that go into property management, but used to work in airlines and customer service and client management. We have people that come with the Bachelor of Agriculture going into our business program and gaining the internship in an agricultural company, but looking at the business side of things rather than the production side of things. We have students coming into our education and marketing program, the global business management program, and then later on pursuing marketing. We have one student that actually did an internship with us in education and helped us with some analysis work. So there are so many other examples of business students going into different directions. But whichever the direction you go into, you always have that application of business knowledge. So that's a fantastic thing. I also have a dear friend who lives nearby, and she also did this program, and she did an internship in more of a web app development company, and she used her IT background, and now she works for an IT company remotely. So those are types of things that you can get into if you're interested in global business management post-degree diploma. And as an undergraduate student, you can also go into various positions in co-op terms as well. On the other hand, I want to specifically talk about students that are interested in accounting or finance and interested in going into our post-degree diploma program. We have a post-degree diploma in pre-professional accounting, which is specifically designed for students interested in becoming a chartered professional accountant in Canada. So you can go into this program, you can go into become a chartered professional accountant 2 ways. One is to go into a Bachelor of Business Administration if you have no bachelor's degree program yet. Or you can go into a post-degree diploma in pre-professional accounting. After the completion, you will then go into CPA PEP, which is a Chartered Professional Accountant professional education program offered specifically by CPA. And you will gain your professional working hours. So you will be working full time and gaining the work hours. You will also do required courses specified by CPA Canada. And then once you're complete with both of those, you will write your CPA exam. And if you pass, then you become a chartered professional accountant or CPA. And it's a really high in demand occupation in Canada. And you can work in any sector, any business, government, and so on. And the compensation is definitely higher, and there's a lot more of a growth opportunity. So if you love numbers, if you don't like numbers, don't ever get into it, even if you like the opportunity. But if you love numbers, or if you are working in payroll, maybe accounts receivable, accounts payable, and you really love those work, then going into these programs might be a great opportunity for you. I have a few other options for students that are coming from other fields, such as tourism or IT and software development. If you're interested in tourism and hospitality, and you're just graduating out of high school, you can go into our tourism and hospitality 2-year diploma program, either hospitality, sustainable tourism, or even adventure guiding. And then after you're done with your diploma program, right away or later, you can come back to NIC and complete the 3rd year and the 4th year of business degree program, BBA program, because tourism, of course, is a whole lot of businesses, right? So you will be able to continue your education in business, which is a fantastic opportunity. Alternatively, if you want to continue with tourism and hospitality with some courses in business, you can go into Global Tourism and Hospitality Management Advanced Diploma. This is a PDD program for those of you who already have a degree program completed. And tourism is a totally different kind of field and different kind of feel, I guess. But you can go into, customer service and client management. You can go into more of a food production, or sometimes some people just shift and go into supply chain and logistics. But otherwise, you can work in hotels, in resorts, restaurants, and all of those things are, again, business. And so having that business background or tourism background, they both will work for you. And finally, if you are not sure about business just yet, but you're coming from IT or computer science, maybe software engineering type of background, and you want to do a PDD program maybe, or maybe you're an undergraduate candidate and you would like to do some undergraduate programs more in the digital side of things, then we have digital design and development programs available for you. And now these programs do not necessarily diverge into business programs, but if you want to get these kinds of skills first, that's a great way to start. And then business education is something that you can pick up later on as you go along, because most likely, unless you're focused specifically on development, like programming, web development, app development, or otherwise, unless you're focused solely on design, you're going to start slowly moving into digital marketing, digital sales, and all of that really drives you into digital marketing management anyhow. Okay, and our students, of course, are doing extremely well in digital design and development programs. It has near Sorry, it seems like I got disconnected here. My apology. So I wanted to talk to you about North Island College itself. So North Island College is located on the west coast of Canada. So if you're familiar with Vancouver, then we're just off the coast of Vancouver in a place called Vancouver Island. Our main campuses are in Comox Valley, followed by Campbell River and Port Alberni. And we are slightly smaller city centers in comparison, but very cost effective. It's also a great place when it comes to the weather. I know that many of you come from pretty nice warm weather. So we have mild winter and warm summer. We're sandwiched by the ocean and mountains. So the ocean is about 5-10 minutes away from where we live, and mountains are about 20-minute drive away. So natural beauty is always there for you, and it's one of the best places to live in Canada, and it is ranked very highly as well. And the community itself is very friendly, kind, and safe. So if you are coming as families, or if you are a female student and a little concerned about the general safety, then you will find it very comfortable here. In comparison to Philippines, our population density is not that high, I can tell you that. So you might find that when you first arrive, there are nobody here, but you will quickly find that people are around and people are very, very nice and helpful. The community is also very understanding of international students and accepting. So you will find that living here is not that difficult at all. And we have a stable and small but stable Filipino community, and we have Filipino supermarkets as well. So you will be able to find a lot of your ingredients here if you want to continue cooking your home cooked food. And of course, wildlife is really close to home in a way that's safe, of course. And we host a massive arts and music festivals throughout the year. Of course, because of COVID, we haven't been able to host much, but these kinds of opportunities really bring people into our community. And Canadian tourism has not slowed down during COVID, that we have been able to maintain our community's economy. So it's a very safe region. It's a really resilient region. And also the jobs are available for you while you have fun. So in terms of the college, the college itself, the reason why lots of people come to us and study at NIC is, number one, because of the smaller class size. Our college is a little smaller in comparison to other big city centers, of course, and it welcomes about 3,000 students per year into academic programming. This year, about 300 students of that is international students in various programs coming from various countries. Students are very happy though, I must say, and they do give us really good feedback every year, and we continue to work on improving on our services and our instruction and so on. If you are undergraduate students, you can start here and get your degree here, or you can start here at a lower cost for the same quality of education, and then later on transfer to different universities. The cost of our program is a little lower than most other institutions. I like to be pretty honest about the total cost. So I'm showing you here, the total cost including books and supplies and other things is about $18,000. PDD students usually pay a little less than that because you will generally do about 9 courses or 8 courses per year. If you're undergraduate students, or if you're thinking about a full MBA program, going into urban universities and receiving education will cost you anywhere from $26,000 to about $35,000 on average. So that's a huge cost savings for you. Living cost has also been lower despite the hike of rent and also housing prices during COVID. So we're looking at about $1,300 per person will provide you what you need. Of course, we have lots of students that live more extravagantly than that. But if you're looking at shared accommodation or homestay, then that's about the cost that you'll be looking at. And work experience and its employment, those are really important things, as I talked about when I was mentioning the business programs. In our region, we have a lot of local businesses and producers and service providers. And all of these local businesses are supporters of our international students and Canadian students. And the reason why they are so fantastic, and it's great to actually land in a smaller city centers and work for local businesses rather than to work for a big corporation in bigger city centers, is because you're able to learn more in one position rather than being segregated into one small position with very limited tasks. You're able to learn a lot more. So if you're doing accounts payable, maybe you do need to learn about accounts receivable as well. If you're going into the customer service, maybe you need to learn a lot more than just customer service. So by being in a smaller business and working for smaller business, you will be able to see the whole array of different tasks, different operations, different departments, all together in one position. You will also be able to connect with people a lot faster in our community because it's a little bit smaller. And when they are in smaller community, people tend to be a lot more supportive of other people because they know that raising other people overall really raises themselves and their businesses as well. So networking is always easier and faster. And finally, remember, I was telling you a little bit about changing specialization. Those things happen a lot faster in smaller cities too. So you can branch out and you can find your best fit a lot faster. In our community, our average unemployment rate is lower in comparison to other parts of British Columbia or other parts of Canada. And also our average age is a bit higher. So there are a lot of positions that need to be filled by the university graduates or college graduates in our community. Also in our province of British Columbia, we are forecasting that there will be a lot more positions that become available over the next 10 years. And all of about 263,000 of those positions will likely need to be filled by immigrants, whether they are coming in on work permit or they're coming in on study permit and staying on. So as a student newly coming into Canada and thinking about settling in British Columbia, there will be a lot of opportunities available for you in comparison to going to, say, some of the bigger city centers on the east side of Canada, where the competition is higher, the population density is higher, and also living expense is higher. And one last thing that I would love to mention is our student support. Our student support is very heavy-handed, and so not only you will receive the employment, immigration, and academic advising once you arrive, you will also be able to tap into our academic support, which is all 101. And students really always tell us that tapping into all of these supports is what makes the student experience so much richer and so much better, because everybody here at North Island College is here to provide you support that you need to get you the best opportunity for success. So we're here to support you, and all the students, past and present, are here to support you as well. So it's a great opportunity for you to join our community and start your studies at North Island College. Now, before I let you go, I do want to mention our admission requirements in case you have some questions. Our admission requirements are for English for undergraduate students is that you will need to take IELTS or otherwise Duolingo. We do have other options for students coming from international curriculum, of course. If you are a postgraduate candidate and you already have a bachelor's degree from an accredited institution, you can submit your medium of instruction letter in order to meet the English requirement. Also for math, you can use the college algebra course or something similar in the first year or first 2 years of your university degree program in order to meet the math requirements. Undergraduate students, of course, you will have to have some grade 11 and 12 courses from the new curriculum. If you are coming from old curriculum, you do need to have the minimum of a diploma plus the grade 10 graduation in order to enter into our programming. But there are some exceptions, so please feel free to ask if you have any questions about that. And finally, we do provide some smaller awards to students based on their IELTS score, Duolingo score, if you are taking any English assessments. And there are specific awards for certain programs. So please inquire with the staff to find out more about our awards. And finally, before I let you go, I would like to mention that we have 2 staff that takes care of our students coming from Philippines. So it is myself, Junko. If you have any questions, you are always welcome to reach out to us. And then we will include IDP counselors into the conversation so that you can get well supported in the time of application. Or you can reach out to one of our staff, Lynn. Lynn will be also available to support you. And finally, thank you so much for staying until the very, very end of the presentation. And we are looking forward to welcoming you here at North Island College.